It's something we do hundreds of times a day, probably without even thinking about it. We just click. But behind that one simple action, there's this whole invisible world that just springs to life. So today, let's go on that journey. Let's follow a single click and see what's really going on. So where does it all begin? Well, it's that really simple everyday moment, right? You see a link, something you want to check out, you click it, and poof, just like magic, there it is. The content just appears. But what is that magic? What's actually happening behind the curtain? I mean, really think about that for a second. In just a fraction of a second, your request flies out from your device, across the world, somehow finds the one thing it's looking for out of billions of possibilities, and brings it all the way back to you. How does that even work? Let's actually break it down.
Okay, so probably the best way to picture the internet isn't as some vague cloud. It's much more like a gigantic global highway system. Seriously, it's probably the biggest thing we've ever built. And just like any real highway, right, it needs some clear rules of the road, otherwise it would just be complete and total chaos.
So the secret here, it's not magic at all. It's really just a conversation. Yeah, a really, really fast one, and it's super organized. It's a conversation between your computer and some other computer that could be thousands of miles away. But think about it. For any conversation to actually work, both sides have to be speaking the same language, They have to follow the same rules. And that right there brings us to the absolute foundation of how the internet works. We're talking about protocols. You can just think of them as the grammar or maybe the etiquette for this huge global conversation. Without these rules, everything would just be, well, noise. Okay, let's take this kind of technical idea and make it super simple. Picture a classroom. You wouldn't just shout out a question, right? Nah, there's a process, a protocol. The teacher asks if there are questions, you raise your hand, you wait to be called on, and then you ask. See? Every single step happens in a very specific order. The internet, it works in pretty much the exact same way. So when we say protocol, all it really is a formal set of rules. That's it. It just defines how a message should be formatted, the order things should happen in, and what to do when you send or get a message. It's basically how every single device on the internet makes sure it doesn't misunderstand any other device. And this is the reason why, say, an iPhone in Japan can talk to a server in Brazil, or why your laptop can talk to your smart TV. It's because they can all communicate because they've all agreed ahead of time to follow the exact same set of rules, the same protocols. It's kind of like the internet's universal language. All right, so we've got the rules of the road down, the protocols. But what about the actual message? How does your request to, see a web page actually travel on this information highway? Well, here's the cool part. It doesn't travel all in one piece. And this, honestly, is one of the most brilliant ideas behind the whole internet. See, instead of trying to send a huge file, like a video, all in one big chunk, which would just be super slow and clog everything up, the system breaks it down. It chops it up into thousands of little tiny manageable pieces. We call them packets. A good way to think about it is like trying to send a book, but you send it one page at a time. Now, before these packets can go anywhere, they have to get prepped for their journey. It's kind of like a mailroom. First up, the application layer. That's your web browser. It creates the message, hey, I want to see this website. Then the transport layer comes in and chops that message into packets. Next, the network layer slaps the destination address on each and every one of those packets. And then finally, the link layer puts that packet onto the actual road, the physical wire or the Wi-Fi signal, to get its journey started. Okay, so we've got the rules, the protocols, and we've got our data broken down into little packets. Now let's put it all together. Let's actually follow one single click from the moment it leaves your browser all the way to a YouTube server and then all the way back. So where does it all kick off? Well, it starts with something we can actually understand. A name. We're good at remembering names, not long strings of numbers. So you type in or you click on something simple like youtube.com. But here's the catch. Computers on the internet, they don't use names. They don't know what YouTube is. They use numbers to find each other. A numerical address, kind of like a phone number, and it's called an IP address. So obviously, some kind of translation has to happen. And here's how it does it. Your computer reaches out and contacts a special server. It's called a DNS server, which stands for Domain Name System. And you can think of it as, literally, the phone book for the entire internet. Your computer sends it the name, youtube.com, and the DNS server looks it up and sends back the right IP address, its actual number.
So now, with that correct address stamped on every single packet, they get sent out into the world. They travel from your home network out through your internet service provider and then onto the massive backbone of the internet itself, which is really just a huge network of networks. And they just hop from one router to the next, and with each little jump, they get a tiny bit closer to that YouTube server.
Okay, so once your request finally arrives, the YouTube server gets to work. It responds, it finds the video you asked for, and it starts sending it back to you. But again, it's not one giant file. It's broken up into thousands of those little packets. And this is the really amazing part. All those packets, they don't even have to take the same path back to you. Each one finds the fastest, most efficient route it can at that very moment.
Back on your end, your computer is catching all of these incoming packets. It doesn't even matter if they arrive all jumbled up and out of order. It knows exactly how to put them back together perfectly, kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. And as soon as it has enough of those little pieces in the right sequence, boom, the video starts playing on your screen. And the craziest part? All of this happens in less time than it takes you to blink.
So after all that, what's the big takeaway here? What's the main thing to remember about this whole incredible, invisible process that's happening all the time?
Well, maybe the next time you click on something, just remember this. The internet isn't some abstract cloud floating up in the sky. It's a real physical thing. It's a system of wires and fiber optic cables, servers and routers. It's a whole world of connections that's all governed by this really elegant set of agreements that lets all of this beautiful complexity just work seamlessly.
You know, there's an old proverb that goes something like, involve me and I understand. And I think by walking through this whole journey together, we've kind of moved past just knowing that it works to starting to understand a little bit of how it all works. And honestly, that's a pretty powerful shift in how you see it.
Because now you know. Every single click, every search you make, every video call, it's a conversation. It's a conversation happening across this massive global system that was built for one thing: connection. And when you know just a tiny bit more about how it all comes together, it's hard not to just marvel at it. The network is literally all around us, just waiting. So, what new conversations are you going to start?